Hey, Amie.
Yeah, Juan.
Give me that Pete.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amie Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She's Amie Cuevas. I'm Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you are listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, rate us, write us a review, help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us your comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. Amie, ¿cómo estás?
It's been so long.
It has been so long. So, first of all, let's clarify. I love all the messages of not only concern, but of
Thank you.
hey, when are you going to drop more content? What's going on? So, okay, guys, the schedule has been nuts. Okay, so first, in terms of Amie and I have lives, so there are things in our life that sometimes get into the way. I just recently baptized my niece, so on a day that we normally record, I had to go to the baptism class. I don't know if anybody's ever been a padrino, but I had to go do that class, so then we couldn't record, and then there
All the
were
baseball happened.
yeah, and then there's games. We don't want to record while there's a game going on, so.
Well, if it's a home game, I'm there. If it's an away game, there's a 50% chance I'm going to be at a watch party at the stadium. We're
I
all over
do
the
want to get
place.
into those watch parties that you
Okay.
attended, Amie. So, but that is the reason why we haven't recorded. It's been scheduling conflicts, guys. So we do appreciate your patience, and I have to say, it does make a lot of the times, and I've told this to Amie. I feel like I'm speaking into a void. Nobody watches, nobody listens. So it
Whoa,
is.
whoa, whoa, Prince of Darkness.
So it's nice. It's nice when our regulars reach out and go, "Hey, man, what the hell is wrong with you guys? Like, why aren't you dropping content?" So hopefully we can be back on schedule and we can finish off strong. Because Amie, don't look now, but at the time we are recording this is the off day between Game 2 of the NLCS and Game 3 of the NLCS. Yeah, and I did not make a mistake there. The last time we left you was on the eve of the wild card series, and now, don't look now, Amie, but the Dodgers have a 2-0 lead in the NLCS over the Cerveceros. I know you are much more optimistic. I think you probably thought this is where they were going to be. Let's discuss over how the heck the Dodgers got up into the NLCS and have a 2-0 lead. Shall we?
Do we need to go back in time? Doodle-a-doo, 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 doodle-a-doo.
And a pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. So, Amie, I just am always proven wrong on this show. And so I still have the courage, the intestinal fortitude to go out there and speak my mind and say stupid things that will eventually be proven wrong because, as Amie always likes to tell me, the internet is permanent, Juan. On the eve of that Red series, I said it was going to be a low scoring series, that it was going to be all about pitching. And lo and behold, the Dodgers scored double digits in both games. Amie, your
Not
thoughts on
not
the.
gonna lie, that was the first thing I thought of in so the first game we won 10-5. Second game it was 8-4, and I was like, low scoring games, huh?
Yeah, I really thought that those Reds pitchers, at least the starters, were going to be. You know what it was? What we're seeing now, especially with the Phillies series and what we're seeing with the Cervecero series, and seeing how the Dodgers offense has responded in those series, that's what I was expecting the entire playoffs. And I want to give you kudos, because that was one of your concerns going into the playoffs. Was, you said, the missing in action that sometimes can happen with this offense. I was more concerned about the bullpen, but it looks like the Dodgers have figured out a way to address those bullpen problems. But I want to give you kudos. You were concerned about the offense.
Mm-hmm. And just the fact that they showed up 10 in that first game, especially as everybody was kind of going head to head, like we're looking at the, like if we go look back at the wild card series, people are wondering, are the Padres going to pull it out against the Cubs? What's going to happen with New York and Boston? And on the side, you had like Detroit and Cleveland, but it was more like in our league, like what was going to happen, and then to see us as the only team that swept, like some of those other teams were going back and forth. We had 2 games. Like I was so proud of them. Just they did such a great job.
And let's start off by talking about the elephant in the room. And that was the only good series that the Unicorn had. Now, again, it says, I think, more about the Reds pitching. I think seeing Otani's offensive struggles in the Phillies, I think you could totally understand it. I think it's justified, rationale. The struggles so far against the Cerveceros, but the way he started the playoff run in the wild card, I thought, oh, this whole postseason is going to be Otani. This is Otani's postseason. Last year was Federico Freeman. This year, all we're going to talk about, the memories we're going to talk about, is how Otani completely took over in the postseason. But that just goes to show you, again, I'm going to steal another line from my colleague, and that is baseball is hard. So you have an elite player, a unicorn, who just looks right now like he's just getting dominated at the plate. And I don't know if I could have sat there and Amie and told you that his pitching contributions in the playoffs, I think, are going to end up being more important than his offensive contributions.
Well, and while yes, it might have been a little easier against the Reds, like in that first game, he hit 2 home runs. He hit one in the first inning, one in the sixth, but he also did strike out. I'm not saying that teams are not attacking the whole team as the Dodgers. I mean, we're seeing the target on their back, even just in as everybody's getting more and more mad as they advance. But it's also like not only are they going after the Dodgers, but they're specifically going after Shohei. So any tape that they can get on him, like if they can get him to swing, they're going to try to induce that. We did see him be a little bit more patient towards the latter part of some of these games, but to me, it's not unexpected. This is also the first year that he's pitching, and we're working him up. Like everybody wanted him to get past 5 innings. Well, that's what's happening now. So you hope that it doesn't take a toll on him, but I just don't know how it couldn't, even just a little bit, just with the exertion that takes. That's not an excuse. It's just, I'm saying it's a factor in. But I think all of those things coming together is just like the perfect storm of really good pitching, because you're coming up against, the best teams of the league now, and we're seeing how that plays out.
I want to put a pin in the Otani thing because I feel it's better illustrated when we talk about the Phillies series. Is there anything else in the Red series? Because for me, going into that Red series, everyone had kept asking me, do you want to see the Mets or do you want to see the Rojos? And everybody was using the argument like the Mets were such a mess that the Dodgers matched up better with the Mets. But honestly, to see
And
the way
I wanted the Reds, which is funny.
but I feel like either way you look at it, I think it was both teams are going to be overmatched by this Dodger team, at least in the wild card round, because the only dent in the armor, so to speak, was the bullpen, which is what we were concerned about going into those playoffs. But for me, that was my biggest takeaway. Did I expect the Dodgers to sweep? No, I thought that the Reds were going to be able to steal a game because, again, my dumbass thought this was going to be a slow scoring series, but the Dodgers just completely dominated them. So what else did you have in that Red series that you want to talk about?
Well, so we saw a lot, especially in that first game, we saw a lot of the game was won on home runs, and then you go to the second game, which they won 8-4, and all of that was more small ball. There wasn't a single home run in anything that scored in that game on their side. So we're seeing kind of the shift as they're doing that. And Mookie Betts had said, I think in one of the interviews, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your training, which I think we're seeing a lot of that now. Like a lot of people counted them out. And yes, the bullpen is a factor we're going to get in. This is the first time we saw Sasaki come in in like more of a relief or a closing role. And so that's going to play its way through as we continue to talk about this. But it's more just, I don't know, like this is where I don't really have expectations, because you say like, oh, you probably thought it was going to shake out this way. I take a step away from that and like, no, I didn't. I just don't have any expectations. I want them to win, but it's going to shake out however they're going to do it. Could it be a sweep in the wild card? Could it be, a couple more games than we'd prefer in, maybe some of the other series? Sure. Or it could be that, we end up winning the NLDS 3-1, like 3 games, we drop one. Like, just you can't plan for this stuff. And so I think that's kind of where my mentality goes with a lot of these things, is just you rely on the team and you cheer them on.
It sounds like you have lowered expectations.
Always. Just because I honestly, I don't have the energy right now, with as long as this year has been, to get myself worked up and then either like come down or like even exceed that. So I just want to watch and enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, that Red Series, I guess, was the seed of Roki, in the bullpen. We saw him at the end of the year coming out of the bullpen. I think there were still some question marks of how he would react in the postseason. And the fact that he, was showing success very early on in the postseason, I know got a lot of people really excited. But that, to me, the seed that got planted, as I said, the takeaways for me in that series were they just overpowered. The Reds were just overmatched by the Dodgers. But seeing how that bullpen struggled in those games, that's where I thought to myself, how are they going to get through the rest of this postseason with this bullpen when you are clearly avoiding half of the people in that bullpen? You don't trust those, because the longer each series gets, the more that bullpen is going to get exposed. So in a short 3-game series, okay, again, they scored enough runs to overcome that. It was a non-issue. Okay, in a 5-game series against the Philadelphia Phillies, that was my concern once that Red Series was over. But anything else on the Red Series?
Just seeing them get to like celebrate again, like, because you don't take for granted the clinching, especially for some of the more veteran players. Like I don't know about you, I was watching it like after work, and it's so fun to see them so excited every time they do this. Like I don't know. It just makes
okay. Inquiring minds, because you're not a hater, but this thing of celebrations after every round, it sounds like you're for it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Are you against it?
I will say this: after they celebrated when they won the division, obviously that I'm all for that. When they won the wild card, and maybe it's because they just overpowered the Rojos, I was just like, okay, really, we're gonna celebrate this with champagne?
They don't deserve to celebrate that, though.
No, and again, I'm not against it. I just feel like, and you hear Kershaw, and you hear a lot of these players say this never gets old. So maybe there's just never too much celebration because it doesn't get old to these guys. These guys want to go, but I guess maybe it's the traditionalist in me that just was so used to so many years that you really only celebrated after the NLCS, and then if you won if you won the division, if you won the NLC, the CS in this sense, regardless of what league you're in, or if you won the World Series. So the fact that we've added extra rounds to the playoffs and we've added more celebrations.
So the one extra celebration you don't like the wild card celebration.
Well, technically it's 2, because you have the division. As I said, I'm dating myself because I'm an old person, going back to when the playoffs was just the championship series and then the World Series. But for some reason, and maybe it was just because it happened so quickly, we just saw them celebrate to win the division.
Heaven forbid we celebrate good things. I think,
and again, And I don't want to I get it. I'm totally
I know
coming off as
you're
like
thinking, you're
old man
processing.
thinking, but that was just my initial reaction of just like, do we really need to do this? I feel like we just did it last week, and does it add anything to it? Because I feel like we
100
just did it so recently.
100%. So I was in the stadium when they won. So they kick us out pretty early in there, which is really frustrating. But
Wait, were you were covering? You weren't as a
no,
fan.
so
You were there as a
I
press
was
capacity.
so the last two series I was there as a fan. The next
Okay.
two I should be covering most, if not all of the home games. So as a fan in the wild card and then as a fan in the division series, like we get to see them. You see the last out, you see them all run on the field, change their shirts, do their photo, and it's like watching ants, obviously, unless you're field level, but it's that excitement of everybody still hanging around the stadium to watch this happen. And then eventually they'll put up on Dodger Vision like what's happening in the clubhouse. So we get to, or right now I guess they're doing it in the batting cages, but you get to see that celebration. To me, like, I love it. Like, I was recording it at home so I could go back and watch it. But to me, I think celebrating each level for me is like, it's synonymous with life. We don't always get a lot of wins. So for me, like, I want to celebrate the little things and the big things. I'm somebody who still celebrates my birthday. I have little mini celebrations with myself for my half birthday. Like, I am a milestone person. So I think none of this stuff is guaranteed. We don't know how far they'll get. We want them to earn their way to the World Series, but we don't know how far they're going to get. So if they want to have a celebration after each game, I say let the teams do it. Like, it doesn't hurt anybody. If you're like, oh my God, this is so much celebration, I'm on overload, then you just don't watch. But for all of the rest of us who love it, I love seeing them happy. These guys work hard. We work hard covering them. Like, to me, it's almost vicariously like, yes, pop those bottles of champagne. Like, we're all putting in a lot of hours for this.
And for those of you that are listening on the audio portion, Amie is wearing "I Hardly Want Pants" shirt today, which came from one of those celebrations. But Amie, how bougie are the Dodgers that they won't celebrate in the clubhouse? They're going to celebrate in the batting cages because they don't want to mess up their bougie clubhouse.
How is that bougie? I wouldn't want to mess it up either. I take my shoes off when I come in my house. I'm not trying to like walk the outside world in. I'm not. Did you see the slip and slide when they won the division? They
Yeah,
don't
but
need that in their clubhouse.
yeah, but that was in
Well,
in
no,
Arizona.
that was somebody else's. They're
Yeah.
not going to do that at home. No, they just spent too much money renovating that. To me, I don't care where they celebrate. They could celebrate on the field for all I care if it doesn't ruin it and doesn't piss off the groundskeepers. I just want them to have that celebration to bolster the hard work that they put in so that they can then move on to the next level and get back to business.
So now you guys just got a glimpse of Amy's younger days, how she attended Ragers every day. She was a party animal. She loves parties. Parties.
So not me. I don't know if you're projecting, but
No, not me. I was a loser, I was a loner. Which, by the way, I did not get a chance to do this on the last show, and I forgot to do it at the beginning of the show. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, in the month of September, 30 days, 30 movies, one movie a day again. I started the month of September watching Jafar Panahi's wonderful movie, Offside. If no one has seen it, I highly recommend it. It's about these Iranian women who were trying to get and to watch a World Cup soccer game. Iran was trying to qualify, and in Iran, the women are not allowed to attend games. So these women dressed up as men to try to get into the games. It is a fantastic movie. I was really surprised that recently in one of these magazines, it was listed in the top 15 best sports movies of all time, which is funny because I don't consider it a sports movie. I consider it a movie about just human emotion, but it is around sports. So that was a fantastic movie. And guess what, Amie? I ended the month of September watching one of I don't know if it's one of your favorites, but I know it's a movie that you've mentioned before on this show. Do you want to take a guess?
Hook?
No, ladies and gentlemen, I ended the month watching Kevin Smith's Mallrats. It had been a really, really long time. You had mentioned Mallrats on one of our
Uncomfortable, like the
episodes.
backseat of a Volkswagen.
So I think because you had mentioned it, I was like, you know what? I don't think I've seen Mallrats since the 90s or something like that. Let me go back and watch it. And so
Yeah.
again, I'm on my quest. I'm going to try to see if October has 31 days. I will try to watch 31 movies in 31 days. And again, this is a combination of movies in the movie theater and movies that I watch at home. So,
All right.
all right. Now, thank you for letting me indulge that. I'm very
I
proud
mean,
of.
you went for it, so
I'm very proud of my Cal Ripken like streak of watching movies
yes.
a day. So
Okay. All
I want to
right.
share that with the rest of the world. Anything else on the Rojo series?
No, I don't think so. I think that's everything I have. I mean, other than us getting a little itchy with Trinan coming in, we're gonna see a little more of that as we go through the next level of the series and kind of make our way into the championship series. So
All right. So let's talk about the Phillies series. We'll move on to the NLDS. And my biggest takeaway from that series, Amie, is the Dodgers should have lost that series in 4 games. They,
what?
they they should have lost that series in 4 games.
Wow, you are so negative.
What
You mean
happened?
the series that they won, that they beat the
Yeah,
Phillies? Okay.
yeah, and I there was a lot of people
Are
I
you sure
saw.
you're a Dodger fan? Like, do you enjoy watching this team play?
I do. I watch all the games, but at the same time, I feel, some people will say it's being a realist. I know some people will say being a hater. I like to think it's being honest. Like that game 1, I tip my hat to the Dodgers for coming back and winning that game. But game 2 was that was for the taking for the Phillies. They had every opportunity to steal that game. Credit to the Dodgers, the wheel play, but there were some
Yes.
mistakes made in that game. And then they could have easily won that epic game 4.
Yeah,
That that
but when you say they could have easily won, but they didn't. Like that to me is
right
like
now.
it's not being a realist. Like this is the game that we got. These are the games we got. Like it's not like they could have but they didn't. Like
Well, I totally get that, and that's fair. But to me, it just points out that, and I think we all knew, and I know there's people going around saying that the winner of that Phillies Dodgers series was going to win the World Series, was going to be the favorite to win the World Series, and I knew that series was going to be a lot different than the Rojo series, and but to watch, to have the Dodgers win a game, Amie, where they didn't get a hit with runners in scoring position, they
you act like
literally.
that's any different from earlier in the season. Like this isn't
No,
news.
I think that is. I mean, to win a game 4, the 2 runs they scored, one was with a bases loaded walk, and the other one was one of the most brutal errors that you will see. That to me, I know people may not say it's luck or anything like that, but you win a series like that. They hit under 200 in that series, Amie. If I told you the Dodgers hit under 200 in that series, and I told
I'd
you
be
they
like, I
still,
don't care. Did they win?
well, that's what I'm saying. Do you think hitting under 200 in that series, they would have won that series? If I
I
told you
wouldn't.
that without seeing,
No,
because I would, if you told me the Dodgers hit under 200, I'd be like, no, they didn't score enough to win any of those games.
but being a fan of statistics in this game, I wouldn't attribute that to anything because as we saw even like with the double play, there's always stuff that happens in baseball that you can't explain. There's people who have been watching it their whole lives and you still see new things every time. So to me, like, is there a correlation? Maybe usually, maybe there's even a stat. Most teams that hit, 199 don't go on to whatever. Yeah, but there's always that team that does. And so for me with this, like when people say like, well, it was anybody's game to win and they won on an error. Yeah, but they still won. The Phillies still had the same opportunities that the Dodgers had, and they didn't capitalize on them in the same way. It was a low scoring game. It came down to an error, but the Dodgers made a bunch of errors throughout the series that the
Yeah.
Phillies capitalized on. So to me, that's where like that tit for tat stuff, like it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's whoever won. Now, unless there's somebody cheating, then you have a problem. But like this is literally how baseball plays out. This is why we love it so much because like I said, from one of the Saber gals, like, you can't script this stuff. Like, this is what makes it beautiful, because if we went in with the supposition that you had that they were going to all be low scoring games and the Dodgers probably weren't going to come out of it, we wouldn't even still be in the running right now. But look where we're at. We're 2 games up. We don't know how it's going to shake out over the next couple of days. We still have 5 more games left in this series for them to win 2 more. We don't know what's going to happen. That's what makes it beautiful. If we did, would you want to watch?
It's a lot easier, I'll tell you, because those games were stressful, man. My heart was pumping. I was just like, but it's just for me. I'm still kind of in awe, and it does say a lot about this team that they beat that Phillies team, because not only did they hit under 200 in that series, they were outscored by the Phillies in that series. Now, a lot of it has to do with the ass kicking that they took in Game 3. That was a very top heavy. They scored 8 runs in that game, and that's the reason why they outscored the Dodgers in that series. And it was
5 of those unfortunately came on the second inning that Kershaw got trotted out there again. It's like, wow, we haven't done enough to this guy. We're gonna.
Yeah. Do you think he should have come out for that second inning?
Well, he doesn't have a say in it, so
No, I know. No,
go.
but I'm talking about you being the manager, you being the front office. Would you have sent him out? Because here's the fascinating thing that I want to get into with you now that you mentioned it. The minute Kershaw came out for that second inning, there were I saw so many tweets of people saying, well, the Dodgers are punting this game. And now punting games, I think, has entered the vernacular. And it comes from last year where we saw the Dodgers punt games. And last year I kept saying, I was like, this is going to come back and bite them in the ass. And it never did, because they ended up winning the World Series. And now when you see them punt a game, it's like it's a viable strategy, and it's no longer, do I think it's going to come back and bite them in the ass? It's like, all right, it was a 2-run game in the 7th inning. People are like, why are you punting? You still have a chance to win. Like, your offense can come back. So I feel this is, again, what I was afraid of, where it's like, how are they going to win a championship when they are avoiding certain pitchers in their bullpen? And as a result of that, they use starters for multiple innings because they don't want to use their bullpen guys. And Kershaw came out there and wore it. And it just sucks because that 7th inning was shaky. He got out of it without giving him a run.
21 pitches in that inning, and only 9 of them were strikes.
Yeah, part of me would have been like, thank you very much, man. We appreciate it. This will probably be your only appearance in the series unless something else has gone horribly wrong. But then for him to come back out in the 2nd inning and have what happened, then the old narrative starts coming up. And it's just, we had so many magical moments with him this year that I hate. I hate that is part of the images of this year for him.
But see, I think that's where it's subjective. Like, people can choose to be like, "Oh, there's Kershaw in the postseason again." But I think if you look at it with the actual context behind it, he already didn't have it in the 7th inning, and they not forced him. It's his job, but they put him back out there knowing what he had, and they could have pulled him after 3 batters, and they didn't. So, or I mean, even in this case, I'm not the rule is not like formalizing in my head right now. Maybe because he'd already pitched in the last inning, they could have pulled him right away. I don't know. Regardless, after he pitched to those first 3, you could have pulled him. I think it's sad that he had to wear it, but I think these are the things where many fans don't take into consideration how fast this game moves. Like, they're on a razor's edge. Do you pull Kershaw out and they followed him with Trinan. So do you put Trinan in knowing his struggles, and maybe he does what Kershaw did in the 8th inning? It's just a different pitcher. He did happen to have a good 9th inning, but we don't know how that's going to shake out, where you're going to put him and whichever batters he's going to face. So I think in those situations, it's like, do you burn this game? Or like, because they went into it, like you said, it was just a 2-run game until he gave up that home run. And then you had another 2 runs come in, and then you had a 2-run home run. And then before you know it, 5 runs scored in that 8th inning. At that point, it's like, all right, we don't really want to sacrifice. We don't want to pull in Sasaki while we're still trying to figure out his mettle of like, can he continue doing this? He's been good so far. So I think those are just the things where the game just moves so fast. You've got a split second to make a decision, and then you just have to get behind it. Same thing with that error we saw in game 5, or game 4. Everybody was on that pitcher, like, why didn't you just throw to first? But if you break it down, like, depending on how comfortable he feels with his PFPs, with his pitcher's fielding practice, did he remember to throw to first? Did he think that throw across his body was going to be longer? Did he think it was easier to get it at home? Like, there's so many things. You could discuss all of those, but in that split second that you have the chance to make that decision, you don't have that much time. It's always easier in hindsight.
A couple of things on what you said. One, I don't think he was going to use any of his high leverage guys in that game 3. Clearly, but he could have used some other. If he was going to punt the game, which it seemed like that was the strategy, or maybe he was hoping to get lucky that Kershaw could get through that inning again and find a way to steal that game. But there were other guys that he could have brought in that game that would have been the equivalent of punting the game. And because you're absolutely right. If he brought in, I don't think he would have brought in Blake Trinan again. I think he would have brought in the guys that, that we hadn't really seen, the guys that we expect to get lit up. It just seemed like, oh man, why Kershaw? Why did you choose? Like, if you're punting the game, I get it, but why did you choose Kershaw?
Well, and I don't know that it was necessarily, like, I know some people believe that is a strategy. Maybe it is. And maybe this is my rose-colored glasses. Like, I think there's always still a chance until the last out. So to me, it's like, did you make a decision to save the bullpen the following day? Sure. Are we saying the same thing? Maybe, but I don't know. I'm sad that Kershaw had to wear it. I'm bummed that, like, they did try to make a comeback in that bottom of the 9th. You saw some action on the bases. They just couldn't pull the trigger. Like, you had runners there. They scored at least one run, and then Shohei popped out, and we saw what happened. And I guess the other side of that for me too is, like, I think people expect them to win every game, and that's not going to happen. So, like, sure, they swept the wild card series, but that was a 3-game series. Like, it's not likely that happens. Both teams are still good teams. So while we would like them to win every game, that's not necessarily going to be the outcome.
No, and I think that's the other big takeaway, and we're seeing it so far in the NLCS. The Dodgers were not a very good road team this year. And for them to win both games in Philadelphia, and now they've won both games in Milwaukee, I am just like, wow, like that was something that I did not see coming.
But this is why when people are like, oh my God, the Brewers, they lost all 6 games to them during the season. Yeah, but that was during the season. This is now. This is a new set of games. This is who they are right now in this moment, and that's who they're getting on both sides. That goes for the other team too. And
the Phillies pitcher, Orion, my second point is, and he admitted this in also. So when people say, why didn't he throw to first? Well, the reason why he didn't throw to first is because he completely panicked. Yeah. After he did not cleanly field the ball, he completely panicked because he saw his season ending before his eyes. So, yeah, in a perfect world, he realized he had plenty of time. He could have thrown to first base. But what he saw was his season ending immediately, and he thought, I have to get the person at home. Because if I get the person at home, at least I know that way they don't score.
Mm-hmm. I've got the lead runner. Yeah.
I mean, it is just one of those things. You mentioned it right now, when things speed up. And we saw this, in 23 and in 22. All of a sudden, things really sped up in the Dodgers, and things got out of hand when they lost to the Showpots, and then they lost to the Serpientes. And they would ask Roberts all the time, why do things speed up on you? It's like, look, if we had the answer to that, we would never allow things to speed up on you. But it's like what you said, you don't know what's going to happen. And I like that Mookie quote in the sense that you revert to your training. And I think Orion just reverted to the fact that I need to get the runner out at home because I have to prevent this game from ending.
And show me anybody who doesn't have that even happen in their real life. Like, you are more of an extrovert than I am. But there are people who love public speaking, people who hate it. I'm not a big fan of it. We do this show, and every week I have my own jitters that I get through. There are times, even like when I'm at work, it could be an internal meeting that has no bearing, and somebody loses their place and they get nervous and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I lost my place. And it's like, calmate, like this, there's no bearing on this right now. The fact that people still panic when they don't do something perfectly, that's just human nature. Now you add the stress of not just baseball, but postseason baseball. And this is like the game deciding do or die for the Phillies. Like, not just them, but like in general, like that adds so much more stress to it. And I hope from all of this that people can realize like more of the humanity of the game, that a lot of this stuff, like this, you can relate it to your real life. Like this isn't, they're not, yes, they're superstars, but they're also human. And this stuff, it sucks. Like watching the Phillies like season end like that. Like I didn't want them to win where we got kicked out, but like you still have like empathy for them. Like they worked really hard this season too, and now they're out. Like that sucks.
Absolutely. What else do you got on the Philly series?
So we did hear right before that game 4 that Tanner Scott was injured. And he was replaced by Justin Robleski because Scott had an abscess on his lower body and had surgery the previous night. It was kind of something urgent, came up out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, but at least from like a management perspective. So we may or may not see him later in the season. They're saying don't count him out, but I don't know.
I mean, the only way we would see him is in the World Series. And then you just don't know what his recovery is going to be like. And
we don't know where it was. So it like, I don't know. Even if it was like minor surgery, it was even just a procedure and not surgery, and that's just what we're calling it. Like, I don't know. That doesn't sound like you're playing in your prime like condition.
What else you got?
I think that was it. Other than like just the fact that going 11 innings in that game, which was weird because some people did start leaving in game 4, but then there was a lot of people who stayed. But it was like, we're all going to be in the parking lot. It's Dodger Stadium. We're not going anywhere. Like we've all committed to be here. So you did see a lot of the taillights. But like once they won that game, like it was such a good feeling. It was just like that. Okay, we got through the Phillies. So I don't know. Were you watching it at home?
I was watching it at home, and I have to admit, it was really hard to celebrate because of how they scored that run.
Really?
Because for me, immediately,
it wasn't the totality of the whole series. Like they won the series. Like you brought it down to that one moment.
I feel like it was such a. I just couldn't help feeling bad for that guy.
Oh, 100%. No, I didn't know he stayed out there the whole time. We were standing there watching the stuff happen over there. I have a mental note. Make sure I check out the other dugout because I didn't even know he was out there the whole time.
I think I would have had a better job of celebrating if it was a clean base hit, right? If Baez, especially because Baez has been struggling the whole postseason, for him to get the game-winning hit.
It might have been if his bat hadn't broken.
Like if that, I think that would have really excited me. But after I saw that he threw the ball away, I just was like sitting there going, "Oh no, oh my gosh!" Like I just.
Oh, and I was like, "Yeah, we won!"
No, my thoughts immediately went to that guy, just going, "What a horrible way not only to lose a game, but to have your season end in that fashion." And I mean, after a while, after I saw them celebrating, then, you got back into it. But I just immediately, it wasn't for me. It wasn't it was a more like, oh my gosh, did that just happen to this poor guy?
Well, and I think you had a better view of that because I went back and rewatched the end, and they put the camera on him multiple times. Whereas where we're at, like you didn't really see him. You saw everybody run around him and rush. Like you didn't even notice him at that point. And then they all moved to the center of the field and like they're all celebrating. And that's kind of the focal point, at least where I was at. So I didn't even notice all of that stuff till I went back and I was like, oh God, this is so okay, good. They came out and hugged him. His manager came and talked to him. All right, and then you hear some of the teammates say some stuff where it's like, I liked that they all took accountability where it was like, it wasn't just him. Yes, it was a bum play, but we also had opportunities to score runs and we didn't. So it wasn't just like F that guy and God, he didn't do it. It was like at least they were all bummed, but they didn't like blame him solely for it.
I love it. My hats off to all of those Philly players, and I love how they were saying we win as a team and we lose as a team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so yeah, kudos to Thompson for immediately addressing it with it, and a lot of the like Nick Castellanos, who has been hearing it from Philly fan this whole season, he immediately straight from the field, the number of Phillies players that went to him on the field. And that's so I was watching it with my family. My daughter had the same reaction. We all had the same reaction. We weren't cheering. We were just immediately like, "Oh no!" And maybe you're right. Maybe it's because
I think it was the difference in location.
You see the replay. You see Real Muto pointing to first, telling the guy go to first. And it just, I think a lot of it was just, first of all, realizing what the hell just happened.
And then, and for us, it was what the hell just happened. And oh my God, they're celebrating. All right, let's move to that. And then you guys got the play-by-play of it, and then the rewind and the play-by-play, because I got that later, and it was like, oh, that's
yeah, it was. That's why I wish that Bacchus would have gotten a clean hit, because then I think I would have reacted the way you reacted and everybody else in that stadium. But for me, honestly, one of the other takeaways from this series, Amie, is the Phillies starting pitching. And this is why I say that I feel like the Dodgers should have lost that series. And if you were on social media, you saw Philly fan going through it. Philly fan was big mad. And part of me, I kind of understand it, because when you see the job that Ranger Suarez did, you kind of sit there and you wonder, well, why didn't Ranger Suarez, like if they would have used Ranger Suarez to piggyback in game 1 or game 2, the Phillies probably win those games, because the Dodgers weren't doing anything against Ranger Suarez. Those three lefties.
But they didn't know that till later though. Like they put their starters up, like they put their guys, their aces up.
Well, I mean, I think the big question, I mean, they ended up winning that game, but I think the big question everybody was saying was, why is Nola starting over Ranger Suarez? Like, why wasn't Ranger Suarez one of those guys who started those first 3 games? But I mean, look, those left-handed pitchers of the Phillies are insane. After the series was over, I was having this conversation with Christian, and I said to Christian, I said, those are going to be the toughest pitchers I think the Dodgers are going to face in all the playoffs, because including the American League, there are no other team in baseball right now that have 3 left-handers like the Phillies have. Luzardo, Ranger Suarez, and Sanchez. Like, those guys were amazing. So, I mean, I loved watching those games. I mean, I know it was stress induced, but I love me a pitcher's duel. So that game 4 was just, I mean, to see pitchers just go out there and do the job. But Amie, and then this is what I wanted to talk to you about, was I feel that those Phillies pitchers, those left-handers, basically laid out the book on how to pitch Shohei Otani. And if I was any other team, I would follow the exact model that those Phillies pitchers did in pitching to Otani.
Why are you giving everybody a leg up?
Well, I mean, but the question is, again, in what I just mentioned, those other teams don't have those 3 left-handers that the Phillies have. So as much as they want to follow that game plan, can they execute it the way those Phillies pitchers? I mean, and this is, I know a lot of people are being critical of the unicorn and being like, "Hey man, come on, wake up." Hey, I'm tipping my hat to those pitchers that have been doing a number on him. Some of those pitches that he got called out on 3rd strikes were unhittable. There's just nothing you can do. Yes, there's a lot of pitches that are right down the middle that he's just not seeing. And look, he's in between right now, but I think it's more what the Phillies pitchers did as opposed to what the unicorn didn't do.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a perspective. I guess I just don't get too critical of him in just the fact that, like, my unathletic self, who am I to pass judgment on somebody who is going up against like some of the top pitching in the league? Like, he's doing his best. If anybody thinks he's not, like, it's not like he's not game planning. It's not like he's trying to figure that stuff out. So, like, while I would absolutely love him to be better at the plate, like, it's not for lack of trying. And I think that's just where my brain stops at that, where I'm like, all right, well, he'll either figure it out or he won't, but we still don't have any control over that. And it's not, if he was like not doing anything, which we know is not the case, then yeah, then you have room to say something. But that guy's one of the hardest working guys in baseball. If he's struggling, like, he's struggling.
I will say this: once that series was over, I was feeling a lot better. I mean, look, my World Series picks are already out. I had the Phillies and the Yankees in the World Series, and both of them got bounced. So again,
Which is funny. I didn't have any picks. I'm just like, Dodgers all the way.
I really love the Phillies starting pitching, and I thought Schwarber. I did not expect to see Schwarber struggle as he did.
Which
The
is what I'm
Schwarber
sure
that we
people are
saw.
saying about Schwarber is what people are criticizing Shohei for. Like, you're seeing their top three didn't do what everybody thought that they would do either. Like, that's just the breaks.
It is, and that's why, like, the same way that I give the Phillies pitchers credit, I think you need to give the Dodgers pitchers credit for shutting down the top three Phillies hitters. I mean, we're going to talk about it more as we go into that San Vicente series about what Blake Snell has been doing in this whole postseason. But, the unicorn pitching wise was able to bounce back after. I think it was a little bit of bad luck in that start against the Phillies because there was a ball that got past the Oscar in the gap that I know a lot of people had issues with. It did look like he was not running hard. And again, you have to sit there and wonder, like, what is going on? Is he not healthy? Is he still favoring
He may
something
not
in his
be.
leg?
I don't think he's healthy. The fact that we're bringing in Justin Dean and not allowing Justin Dean to hit, and we're like piggybacking him and sliding Pajes back and forth between right field and center, I don't know that everything is okay there. And at the end of the day, I don't know. Like, again, this stuff comes down to a split second. He didn't have a good read on it, or he thought Pajet. Like, this is the stuff where, like, you'd like to see it work out better. It didn't. But then you have something where the players are taking it upon themselves, like, hey, let's run something like the wheel play. How do we get that to work? Traditionally, it works this way. What if we were to try to do it this way? All right, Freddie, if the ball comes to me, we need you to do this. If the ball comes to you, I'm going to do this. Like, just the fact that they're going in, like, stuff's going to happen. Like, I guess where for me, like, it's not great to see, like, that ball did get by Teo. But that's happening to the other teams too. And it's not just the Dodgers and the Phillies. That's happening in all of these games. We're watching them and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. But that is literally part of the game. Like, that is why you have an error category to be able to categorize this stuff, because it's going to happen. These people are not superhuman. While super athletic, they're going to make mistakes.
Yeah, but for me, like, it does end up being big only because I thought Shohei pitched really well in that game. But if you look at his numbers, he gave up 3 runs. And it's like, well, if Teo cuts that ball off, maybe he makes less runs. And I'm not saying we're
But to
going to.
be fair, there were no outs at that point either. He walked to the first, and I'm not trying to put any shade on Shohei. First batter he walked, second batter singled. You had a tough luck of the next guy, JT, hitting a triple because that ball got by Theo. But it's, we had no outs at that point. It wasn't like it was just miraculously going to be like this triple play all of a sudden and like, oh, we're out of the inning.
No, I know. But if you cut that to a single, you know, you limit the damage. And you limit the damage. And I think Otani's outing looks much better. And I get it. The way Blake Snell is pitching, you're never going to be able to compare what Otani's doing to what Blake Snell's doing. Like, what Blake Snell's doing right now is on another level. But I really feel like if you can get another start from him the way he pitched in Philadelphia in this series against the Cerveceros, like I said, once they beat the Phillies, I was really starting to feel good about the Dodgers, because when you start looking at these other series in the American League, and even if you looked at that Cerveceros and the Cachorros series, it didn't feel like the pitching was on the same level as to what the Dodgers and the Phillies were doing in that series. And I get that's the reason why a lot of people thought whoever wins the Dodgers Phillies series, that's who's going to end up, winning the World Series. Because if you looked at these other series, the pitching just was not on the same level.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting baseball all the way through the postseason. I know I went out, I think it was, gosh, I can't even remember what games we were playing. I think Friday night I went out to watch one of the series, and then Saturday was Friday was the Mariners.
The 15 inning game, the Mariners.
Oh my God,
Tigers.
I was at the brewery for 5 hours during that game, and it was like, all right, I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna go home. Okay, now they're closing. All right, cool. And I'm listening to the end of it on the way home, and it's just like, wow, what a game. And that was right on the heels of the Dodgers going 11 innings the night before, and it's like PTSD, too many innings. But it's just it's also just good baseball. And then you're seeing some of these teams where it's like, well, if we have to see them soon, they're kind of tiring themselves out. Like, all right, like not horrible. And then you see the Brewers Cubs series, and it was a little lackluster after the Dodgers and the Mariners. And then you went into that one, and it was like, it was a battle. They were both battling, but you could tell they were gassed.
That was good. That was a tall order for the Cerveceros and the Cachorros game 5 to try to match those last two games between the. I mean, even the Mariners and the Tigres, they literally told the Dodgers and the Phillies, "Hold my beer."
Yeah,
because to go 15 innings and there was a lot more action in that game in the late innings, as opposed to the Dodgers and the Phillies, where the pitchers were just dominating the hitters, and there wasn't that much traffic on the base paths.
Not any less stressful, though. I think more because
No.
we had more skin in the game. I'll tell you, those Friday and Saturday games, while it was like baseball stressful, it wasn't us stressful. So it was like, wow, this is nice
it
to
was
watch
much
this
easier
and
to watch.
not be invested, but I still found myself getting stressed. Like, oh no, they're going back out for another inning, and then you have the Cubs Brewers series, and it was like, oh, okay, well, all right, well, we play them soon.
It was much easier to watch those games than to
Yes.
watch the Thursday game. I was already preparing, because we baptized my niece on Saturday, to be like, all right, how are we going to watch the game? My compadre's friend was going to bring the TV. We were going to put it in the backyard. And what I was concerned about is I was going to be watching the game with a bunch of Angel fans. So if the Dodgers lost, I was just going to hear it from everybody.
You're so different from me, because I'm like, I just don't care. Like, go ahead, say it. Like, who cares? I'm sorry, are you in the postseason? Oh, you're not? Okay. It means nothing.
So I'm so glad that the Dodgers took care of business on Thursday. It was a very, I did not, like I said, kudos to, I saw a lot of Dodger fans picking the Dodgers in 4. So kudos to all those Dodger fans. I did not see that coming, that the Dodgers would win that in 4, or that the Dodgers would win the 2 games in Philadelphia. So, I mean, you guys need to go buy lottery tickets. It's what you guys need to do.
Or just come over to the positive side, and like, it's fun over here.
All right, I'm going to come over to the positive side as we start talking about the NLCS.
Well, and you can come over to the positive side, but you don't have to have expectations. You don't have to be like, oh, they're going to win it in 4 games. You could just watch the games.
Amie, I have lowered expectations. Anything else on the Phillies Dodgers series before we go into the Brewers?
I don't think so. I think that was pretty much it. Just that Sasaki really shone in those games. Like, you saw the excitement when he came in. Like, everybody was pumped, and he was able to deliver. He had a little bit more rocky start when we saw him come in relief in the Brewers series, but like for that Phillies series, like, God, he was everything. It was beautiful to see.
Those 3 innings that he pitched in game 4 were huge.
Yeah.
were so huge.
Like he kept
And
coming out, and we would see like certain people warming up, and we were like, "Oh God, no! Oh God,
right.
no!" And then you see him come back out, and it was like, huh. The crowd would actually settle. And similar to that, at the watch party on Monday, when certain pitchers got announced, there were like the entire bar just groaned and got very grumbly and angry, and it was like, oh,
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a very small sample size with Roki. Now, what happened in Milwaukee, is that because him going 3 innings against the Phillies affected him? We'll see how he looks the rest of the series against the Cerveceros. But I think it was absolutely huge that he was so efficient that he could have gone through, that he went the 3 innings to keep the Dodgers in that game to be able to end it. So yeah, like I said, it's a small sample size. Did I expect that Roki was going to be perfect? No. Had I hoped that Roki was perfect the whole postseason? Yes, because then that means he was doing really good stuff for the Dodgers if he was perfect. But realistically, it just wasn't going to happen. Anything else on the Phillies before we go to the NLCS?
mm-mm.
Okay.
Let's do it, because they had another celebration before they got to the series.
They did. They had themselves another celebration, which I didn't have a problem with. It was just that I really think it was just because of that wild card. It was so close. They did it in 2 games, and it was so close to them celebrating
Darn
that.
them being
that
so effective. Oh gosh.
exactly.
Gosh, now I want to make Juan upset. Ugh.
But look, the Cerveceros had the best record in Major League Baseball. They
Mhm.
had beaten the Dodgers 6 games out of 6-0 this season.
Mhm.
Every single game they played. And I know everybody was saying that, the winner of the Dodgers and the Phillies was going to win the World Series. Even
Not
with all that,
everybody, because my friend group, we don't have expectations. We're just like, keep going.
so I had every reason to be optimistic of going into this NLCS. But at the start of the NLCS, Amie, I had a little butterfly sitting there thinking to myself, are they taking the Brewers? Are they taking the Cerveceros for granted? Are we not taking them seriously enough? Because the Dodgers beat a really, really
Wait,
good Phillies team.
who's we? Are we not taking them serious? The team? Are
Me
you
and my
asking if
multiple personalities. That's who I'm talking about.
okay, so not the team taking them seriously.
No.
Just making sure.
And I know we've had this debate on this show many times. And there's people who believe in the baseball gods, and then there's people that don't believe in the baseball gods. But I do believe there is sometimes a supernatural aspect to sports. Going back to last year when the late great Fernando Valenzuela passed away, I said there's no way the Dodgers are losing to the Yankees in the World Series. It's not going to happen. With Valenzuela passing away, the baseball gods will not do that to the Dodgers. So at the start of the Cervecero series, Amie, I started thinking to myself, is the ghost of Euchre real? Is the ghost of Bob Euchre real? Because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, after that crazy double play that happened, when weird stuff starts happening that there's just
You mean
no explanation to,
baseball?
I don't know if that's baseball, Amy. I mean, when the ball bounces, now what I didn't, because I listened to that call on the radio, okay,
Mhm.
and shouts out to Ricardo Lunes, okay. As you guys all know, I like listening to baseball on the radio. And if you don't follow me on social media, you should follow me, because I posted this great picture of Ricardo Lunes looking at Steven Nelson in a certain way after the ending of the Phillies series. But I don't think because you were at the brewery, so you didn't listen to the radio call of that crazy double play
Oh,
in Milwaukee.
I have the radio on usually in my ear.
Okay. So did you hear Ricardo Lunes losing his mind, saying it is the worst base running? It was so terrible. So I didn't have eyes on it. So I'm listening to Ricardo Lunes, and I'm like, what the hell happened? So then finally, by the time I got to the TV and I could see that the ball bounced off the wall, Even though I can't believe that umpire saw it from where he was.
But
That umpire,
they have extra umpires, I think, for
yeah,
this.
but he was down the left field line, and that was in dead center. And for that umpire to immediately say no catch because it bounced off the wall, kudos to that. I know we like to crap on umpires, but kudos to that umpire. And so, because there's no way until they like zoomed it in, Amie, I thought that ball bounced off his glove, went straight in the air, and then he caught it. And then at that point, I'm like, I don't blame Teo. I don't blame any of the base runners because it's like, well, what are you doing to play with a play like that? But the minute that ball hit the wall and that umpire made that sign, and I know if you look back, you see Dino Ebel immediately telling Dale, go, go, go. And that's the reason why Dale got thrown out is because he went back to
Yeah.
tag when he didn't have to. But to me, Amie, when you have a crazy play like that, I immediately start thinking, "Oh my gosh, it's Euchre. Euchre is messing."
How'd that work out for you?
Well, it just proved me wrong. The series isn't over yet. It proved me wrong, but I was gonna pull some Ghostbusters stuff because I was just like, "Oh no, they have the ghost of Euchre on their side. That this might be too much for the Dodgers to overcome." Because the Brewers are still the San Francisco's are a good team. They play small ball. The things that you preach, like they don't strike out much. They make contact. Churio is a guy who has some power. He runs into one. So going into that series, I was a little nervous. And then, of course, that ninth inning didn't do me any favors either. But
to your point, for all the people who believe in the baseball gods, great, do your thing, do what makes you happy. But for me, it's just those things are motivators. So Fernando passing away, Euchre passing away, that's a motivator that you can use in the back of your mind to like, yes, we want to win for this, but that like to me, there's no supernatural like, oh, it's predetermined. Well, if that's the case, then why not just give them the World Series because Euchre's dead? Like that's to me, it doesn't work that way in my brain. So, however you enjoy watching it, go for it. But that's not my thing.
If they would have found a way to just score that one run, if Dale would have just scored that one run, it would have saved us a lot of acid reflux in the ninth. And that's the thing, right? You go back in game one and you see the Dodgers had a lot of opportunities to score runs and they couldn't cash it in. But I think obviously,
but neither could the other side. They didn't even score their first run till the ninth inning.
Well, and this is what I'm getting at. I think the storyline in these first two games of the NLCS is the Dodgers starting pitching. You want to know how you avoid the bullpen problem that you have? Have the starting pitching performances that you saw in game one and game two. That's a really good way to remedy the issues with the bullpen. Amie, I for one would have sent Blake Snell out in the bottom of the ninth. If he gets a runner to second base, I pull him. But I get it. He was at 100 pitches. But when are we going to learn the lesson? When is all of baseball going to learn the lesson of pulling Blake Snell too early? For me,
I think 8 innings is fine.
I would have sent him out in the bottom of the ninth.
Not with his injury, injury history. I feel like
you're okay with the move of bringing in Roki in the ninth.
I think you got to try it. They don't know what his ability is. If you're going based off past experience, he's going to be okay in there. He struggled a little bit. Maybe he does need a little bit more rest coming out. Like this is his first postseason in the US. So maybe that was a bridge too far that game. So he tried. He stayed in 2/3 of an inning, gave up a run, and then you had Blake Trinan come in and close it out. And even that, like again, I was at that watch party, and it like there were moments where either it was grumbling or people were silent or people were yelling at the TVs, and it just like it was like that's who you're gonna the game's this close. You're gonna bring in Trinan to close it out. Okay, that's a decision.
Well, my compadre had already sent me the message saying that he was convinced that Trinan was going to blow it. And that was...
I was hopeful that he wouldn't.
That's to me what was after the pitching performance that Blake Snell had, and if the Dodgers ended up losing that game, that was just going to be horrible. And I was really curious to see what it would do to the Dodgers psyche for the rest of the series, right? Because
But it doesn't
I
change the 8 innings of good pitching that he did do, though. Like, yeah,
no,
you
no,
don't want to you
it
don't
does.
want to lose, and you don't want the other pitchers, but like nobody's like throwing the game in the last inning. Like to me, I don't know that that impacts your psyche in that. Hey, we got to make better choices with our relievers. Like Blake just pitched a gem.
And that's the question is I don't think there is a way to confirm what it does to the psyche, but like there's a lot of people, and I don't know if there's a way of proving this, but in the 1988 World Series, a much better Oakland A's team, after they lost in the fashion that they lost in game one, people argue that that messed with their psyche for the rest of the series, and they never recovered, and the Dodgers just steamrolled them. Could you say the same thing? That's what happened to the Yankees last year when Freddie hits the grand slam. Does that just damage the Yankee psyche to the point where, or that fifth inning, that famous fifth inning when the Dodgers are down 5-0 and they come back and the Yankees in there again? Here we go again. Now things are speeding up on us and we can't control it. So I look. I'm glad the Dodgers ended up winning that game. Blake trying to. Have you seen this? My daughter sent me this meme of it. It's a cat with an army helmet that says "I survived a Dodgers bullpen appearance."
No, but I have seen one with the like the Facebook like marked safe from the Dodgers bullpen.
Yeah.
Like there's been them going around. It's unfortunate because I feel like the bullpen is catching strays, and I understand why. But the bullpen is what propped us up at the beginning of the season. So like that's where I'm just like, fans, how are you, some of you fans, how are you forgetting that? Like they may not be performing the way that we want right now, but again, it's the manager's choice to trot them out there. They also propped this team up. So like, I don't know. This is where we watch baseball differently. Not you and me. I mean, we do, but like just everybody has their different way that they watch.
And I got news for everybody. This is not going to end. This is the way it's going to be for the remainder of however long the Dodgers stay in the playoffs. Every time the bullpen comes in, and that's why it's one of those things where the starters did their job,
Mhm.
but you are going to see the bullpen because look, Glass now does have the capability of throwing a complete game. Glass now in the past has shown he can go deep into games. But I'm telling you guys right now, in game 4, you're going to see the bullpen play a prominent role because the unicorn isn't going to go more than 6 innings unless he has a ridiculously low pitch count in the game. You're not going to see him go more than 6 innings. So you're going to need the bullpen at least in game 4.
Buckle up, buttercups. This is baseball, and this is the baseball we get.
But as my friend Alonzo said, in game 2, with the gem that Yamamoto threw,
Oh, what a beautiful game.
Alonzo said to me, he was like, somebody yelled at Roberts when Yamamoto went out to pitch the 9th and said, all right, you're not pulling this again. Send him out. And again, I would have done this.
Who yelled at him?
The implication is somebody in the front office yelled at him and said, do not pull your pitchers when they're pitching gems like that. And
Well,
it's
the
eye test.
implication would be that the front office is not involved in that from the
Exactly.
get-go, too. Like, all right.
It's not fact. It's not fact.
Okay.
But
All right.
I get the point. I get the point because if you ever saw the post game of the Phillies commentators in that game 2 in Philadelphia when they took Dave Roberts to task before they started going off on their own manager for bringing in Trinan instead of Roki to start that 9th inning, they were going around saying that was that was the stupidest decision ever, like in Major League Baseball. I get it. It's the eye test. I feel like you should if a pitcher is out there dominating, it's the end of the season. I get it. I just firmly believe you can't prevent injury, right? So it's the end of the season. We saw it last year when they were in the World Series. They rode those guys into the ground, and those guys ended up feeling it next season. You ride these guys until the wheels come off, and because the important thing is to win games.
I agree and I disagree. Yes, but if that extra inning is the thing that's going to push them over, because as most pitchers don't really go over 100 pitches. It's give or take. We'll see them. Some of them go like to 110, but really not that much anymore. So to me, like if you're going to push them that far, and that's the thing that might push them over the edge versus, hey, let's keep them around like 95, whatever it is, let them rest up before their next start. That's like, just don't stretch the rubber band too tight. Like, it's not saying that the rubber band's not going to break at some point, but I'm not going to break it before the World Series ends. I'm at least going to kick that can down the road. And by kicking it down the road, I get at least another start out of them. So sometimes while they may get injured still, sometimes that 110, 111 pitches, that is enough to push the injury, where if you just had 2 separate starts with enough rest, you forced all that injury for a lot longer. And so to me, yeah, they're going to have to turn to their bullpen at some point. And hopefully they're getting the help and the support that they need to get their head right. If they've got a little bit of the yips, if it's just mechanics, whatever it is, to figure it out. But this is the team we have. And to your point, they're not all going to go like 8 or 9 innings. They might, but it's, we get what we get.
What Yamamoto did in game 2, after giving up a home run to the first hitter,
and then nothing else. So first pitch, home run, and I think I said to my friend, all right, we got that out of the way. No more after this. And literally Yamamoto was like, I heard you. No more after this.
I know. I was not feeling that. After he hit the home run, I said, well, this is where they even up the series.
Wow.
They have their best pitcher going, Freddie Peralta. And the thing is this. Yamamoto got hit hard against the Phillies. Yamamoto got hit hard in his earlier start in Milwaukee earlier in the season. So you start thinking, does he just not pitch well in this stadium? Do they really pick him up? Like, can the hitters really see him really well in Milwaukee? So for him to give the performance that he gave after that, I think is just so impressive, and you just can't talk about it enough. Amie, through these first 2 games of the NLCS, all I have is Flores to give out. So if you have anything else you want to say, because I'm just going to start handing out bouquets pretty soon.
No, for sure. I just think it's funny that like Chourio hits that home run and you immediately tanked like optimism, and I'm over here like, all right, they got it out of the way.
Oh, I thought he was going to get rocked.
Wow.
I really thought. I was like, oh. Yeah, because like I said, I don't think this team, the Cerveceros, is going to lay down. They play small ball. They play the contact. I love that. I love that aspect of it. So when they start hitting home runs, that's just like the frosting on the cake right there. Like for them to be able to get runs on one swing of the bat. So I was just concerned because of how he looked against the Phillies. So I was not expecting him to the performance that he gave the rest of the game. So
let people surprise you, my friend. Let people surprise you.
There's a bouquet for him, and I got bouquets for others.
Obviously Kike is like, you're seeing a lot of stuff all over social media. For the people who are not familiar with him, it's so funny to watch their content to be like, oh my gosh, this guy really is Mr. October. Yeah, he is. Like, I mean, he continues to come through, and all of these guys, they're all contributing in their own way, and just seeing them show up, they're not giving up, even in those close run games, they're still showing up and trying to score and trying to make it work, and overcoming things like our side makes an error, their side makes an error, but still being able to come back from that and not let it get them down.
To me, Amie, Kike needs to be studied, because this is just, it is. I think he's got himself signed again for next year. He's got himself another contract.
Better. The money I have had to throw out to buy all my Kike shirts just in case.
I mean, I just feel like it is one of those things, and I get it. He was injured during the season and stuff like that. But what he does in the postseason, without it, until he shows that he can no longer do it in the postseason, I am convinced you sign that guy specifically just for the postseason.
And maybe sign him for a little bit more than what he's been getting.
Look, that's between his agent and the Dodgers. But if I'm the Dodgers, you desperately need that guy.
Mm-hmm.
You need that guy in the postseason because it is so amazing just to see certain players how their game changes when they get to a postseason. Another guy, and he's been a whipping boy, but here comes a bouquet. Another guy that I feel is walking in the same steps as Kike is the Oscar. As much as we crap on the Oscar in terms of his defense or his base running,
Oh, we're not all crapping on him.
that dude hits in the postseason. Like nobody's hitting home runs on this team in the postseason except for the Oscar. And he's coming up clutch. So he gets a bouquet. What else you got, Amie?
Oh, well, I mean, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, they're hitting some home runs there too. They're coming through. We've got some of our guys, Tommy Edmonds, so they're coming in clutch in those key spots, especially when we need some of those runs. I did see, so I was listening to the game, and you just mentioned like some of the other commentators or like the announcers on the other side. In the bottom of the third in game one, it was, gosh, where is it? Caleb Durbin. He ended up singling and getting on base, and I'm like recording it in my scorebook, and I hear the announcer say, "Speaking of short kings," like apropos of nothing, and it was like, what? That's a really random thing to say. So I like click on his stats. He's 5'7", and I'm just like, wow, you can't just congratulate him for getting on base. Like you've got to bring up his like. I miss our announcers for games like these. Like I don't like the national or the syndicated ones. Like can we just listen to our own guys?
You know, it's a couple of things. I think those are real. What you're talking about. One, in terms of the short kings. You know who else got short king love? Alejandro Kirk, the catcher of the catcher of the Azulejos. They made reference to how short he is, and so my wife was obsessed with this, and we were watching the game, and sure enough, the hitter was standing, and you could see how short Alejandro Kirk is, and my wife was just like, "Why are they giving him crap?" You know,
Thank you.
And he's 5'7".
But it's like, but what is that like? What does that have to do with his like that to me? Like it was enough for me to stick my head up and be like, what the. That okay, cool. You're not like I don't know. Stuff like that just to me is so weird.
This has been said about the announcers, and it always cracks me up because these are national announcers, and both teams fans hate these announcers.
Well,
so
because
both
they don't
teams
know
fans,
anything about them either. So like the canned stuff that they say, like I get it. You don't know anything about the team and you're doing the best that you can, but it's like I still don't like it.
Both teams fans are convinced that these announcers hate their team.
It's not even that. I don't think that. I just don't like them.
I think it's hilarious that they both. Now, the one thing I will say, I do think Ron Darling hates the Dodgers, and
okay. I don't even know who each one of them are like voice wise. I'm so like just not paying attention to them.
Ron
They're just
Darling,
like one voice.
Ron Darling came in the NLCS. So in the NLDS, it was Brian Anderson and Jeff Francoeur. Then in the NLCS, they add Ron Darling, and Ron Darling. If you ever, he's normally the Mets announcer. If you were caught the last game of the season when the Mets got eliminated by the Marlins, and you heard Ron Darling just totally being an old man shaking fist at cloud because the Marlins were celebrating like they just won the World Series because they eliminated the Mets, I'm just really, Ron, why don't you hold your team accountable for the fact that they lost a must-win game to get in the playoffs? So you're going to go after the team.
Joy.
Exactly. You're going to go after the team that had nothing to play for, but they actually showed up to be a competitive game. You're going to criticize them.
Wow. Oh,
And
okay.
look, you can't sit there and forget that he was on the 88 Mets team that was supposed to smoke the Dodgers, and in particular, he got lit up by the Dodgers in that series. So,
Yeah, but you're supposed to be impartial.
you are, and
I'm
honestly,
I'm gonna have to be impartial the next couple of days. I will be
that's why I try
inside.
to
I
be
will be
honest,
like,
Amy.
hmm?
I try to be honest and call it the way it is on this show. And I know
Mm,
that you guys will think that I'm a Dodger hater,
okay. Is that what you're doing? Okay.
but I'm calling it the way it is. And
Oh,
as much as Ricardo Lunes can come off as being too critical, he's not up there, with, cheering in the press box after a certain play. He is trying to keep some level of professionalism, some level of partiality, in calling a game. It's fascinating to me that you see the most amazing thing just happen or this great moment, and you just see him in his scoreboard, just writing in his scoreboard with this blank look on his face, like nothing just happened to him, and that's how he does it. I know, and it's never going to happen. But I know a lot of team fans have been advocating, at least for these playoff games, that they should have a version where you get to watch your announcers call the game. So if that means showing the game on a local channel and having your announcers work that game, I'm not opposed to that. I think that that's a good game, but
I don't want to
the
hear like it's canned facts about these guys versus the people who know them. And so for me, it's just it's very sterile listening to these games, and it's almost like they're manufacturing. They're like finding ways to regurgitate the same stuff. Yeah, we just heard that yesterday in the game because you guys didn't have anything to talk about. So I find myself more often than not, like I'll pull up game day on my phone because with the radio, it's too fast ahead of like different, like if I'm watching the game somewhere, the game is usually delayed. So I will usually have like MLB radio in my ear, and then it's like, okay, let me sync it up, and then I can hear like Rick Monday and whoever he's broadcasting with, and I can watch the game that way, and then I don't have to hear it. But there's certain situations like these watch parties that I've been going to, they have all the speakers on, so like you are literally just hearing what is being broadcast for that game. Like you can't hear anything else.
So game 3 will be tomorrow on Thursday. I can't wait. For me, the most exciting part is seeing if the Dodgers starters can keep this up. Can they keep having these dominating performances
Don't
that
get your expectations up, my friend.
you mean I should
Lower
lowered expectations.
expectations.
So a couple of things before we wrap things up. One is I feel like this is kind of flying under the radar. I know some people have reported it, but did you catch after the Phillies series that Miguel Rojas has said next year is going to be his last year, that he's going to
Oh,
retire
I did
after
not.
next.
I did not catch that.
Now, Miguel Rojas is a free agent at the end of this year. As I told my
Oh,
wife, I'm like, it's interesting that he's saying that next year he's going to retire. Could he be saying that to try to get the Dodgers to sign him for 1 year so he can retire
well,
as a Dodger?
did I see something that he's in the running for? He's not in the running for a Gold Glove, is he?
I
I
believe
know
that was
Mookie was.
Mookie. Yeah,
I saw a
I didn't.
picture with both of them on there, which is what confused me. And I just saw it in a split second, and I was like, I'll research that for later.
I did not see that for Miguel Rojas.
Then he might have just been in the picture.
So the other little tidbit that I wanted to throw out at you was, do you know the story about the haunted hotel in Milwaukee?
Yes. Yes. Mookie and his wife will not stay there. They'll stay elsewhere. But now we're hearing that's extended to other people.
Exactly. So Dale, now I don't know if this is true or not, but they're really making it seem like Dale was throwing his wife underneath the bus by saying that his wife is the one that believes in ghosts, and that's the reason why they're not staying in that hotel.
I don't believe in ghosts per se, but I don't want to stay in a haunted hotel. Like, I'm not trying to bring that energy home with me or wherever I'm going. Like, if I have the option to stay somewhere else, I'm going to stay somewhere else.
So if you don't believe in ghosts, then who's doing the haunting?
I don't, whatever energy people think is there, I just don't want that near me. So that's my personal belief, but If somebody does believe in ghosts and they don't want to stay there, then like, okay, what? I guess I don't understand why it's a story. Like, I think it's funny. I think it's quirky, whatever. But like, okay, so they're staying at another hotel. Who cares?
So I'm looking at the Gold Glove nominees, and you are correct. Miguel Rojas was in the running for a Gold Glove under the utility category. So
Gotcha.
there were only 2 Dodgers that are in the running for Gold Gloves.
That's what I
It's
saw.
it's Mookie for shortstop, and it's Miguel Rojas. He's under the utility category.
Yes. Okay. Because I'm looking at the picture right now. It's actually, if you guys go to like Dodgers Twitter, they have a congratulations, Mookie and Miggy, on being named finalists for 2025. And they're like, I don't know, touching gloves, and their gloves are gold. But yeah,
Because
I was
they
like,
love
I
gold.
everything gold. I knew I saw him in the picture, and I was like, it'd be really weird that he's just hanging out in Mookie's picture. But hey, whatever. I looked at it quick. So even my quick glance, got it.
Okay, so I want to end the show with you giving us a report on these watch parties, because I've been following your social media and you seem to be at these watch parties all the time. Can you fill us in? What's the vibe like at these watch parties? Like, inquiring minds want to know, party
Yeah.
animal.
Oh,
Come on, party girl.
as I sit in the corner. So it's typically at like a Dodgers membership, like season ticket holder thing. So like if you have a full membership, or I think a half membership, you're eligible and you collect points throughout the year. So it's just something that you can turn in your points, go watch it. Typically we're at the Gold Glove Bar. In years past, we've been in the Stadium Club. And so they have like food, so you can go get like buffet style food. They'll give you like 2 drink tickets. So like they make so much money off of me, because I literally go there and I'm like, let me get my water, let me get my scorecard, and I'm like zoned into the game. But it's a lot of people, like they come in their Dodgers gear. We get like rally towels, they do raffles, and it's just the vibe of getting to watch it at Dodgers Stadium, even though the team's not there, and you're around a bunch of other Dodgers fans. So like every so often somebody will start like a "Let's go Dodgers" chant, and it'll like ripple through the bar, or just everybody cheering or jumping up and down and getting excited all at once when a good play happens. So if we can't be in like Philadelphia or Milwaukee, it's just a fun way to go, like be around other people, much like I'm sure other people are having their own like watch parties, like, hey, everybody, let's meet at the bar or whatever. It's just community, more Dodgers fans, a different way to watch it.
So I'm very curious the reaction you had mentioned earlier when certain bullpen pitchers make an appearance and you hear the groans. How does the rest of the crowd react to those moans?
So this is where, like, for me, because you know how I look at the game, like I'm just like, oh, like I'm not thrilled about it, but like I'm not gonna groan at somebody, I'm not gonna boo our guys. So I'm sitting in the corner scoring, and it was almost the whole bar. Like, I don't want to say it was everybody, but it I would say 75-80% of that bar was growling at the TV. So it was everybody. It was mostly everybody. So
And so everybody just lets it pass, like nobody tries to defend and be like, hey, come on, guys.
no, because everybody's so locked in. Like once that last inning in the most recent in Monday's game came about, like there were people pacing. Like everybody just kind of does their thing. People come in groups, or there's people like me. Like I go by myself if my friends can't make it. So it's just everybody kind of has their own coping mechanism, and some of it's screaming at the TV, some of it's pacing. I didn't hear anybody like take up for anybody though. Like it's more just, all right, if you're gonna grumble, this is where I'm going to look down and just keep scoring.
Watch parties seem to be the thing to do. I know Cosm, if any of you are familiar with Cosm in Los Angeles, will be doing game 4 tomorrow. And I think that is on my bucket list to try to watch a game there at Cosm. But
That would
now
be fun.
the prices have gone through the roof for
Oh.
Cosm. Everybody, I remember when Cosm first started, you could get in there for $22 and all that stuff. And now it's an impossible ticket, and it's like the tickets are through the roof. But
How
that
much do
really,
you know how much they are right now?
I haven't even I haven't
Oh,
bothered
okay.
to check. I know the last time I checked, it was more than $22. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, then we'll just have to start our own watch party. We're going to have to pick somewhere to go and post up.
But that whole watching the screen and almost making it feel like you are literally there. I mean, hats off to them, for doing that. I think that's super cool. But I think the Doyers are in a really good spot. So, programming note, ladies and gentlemen, the next time that we drop an episode, either the Dodgers will be in the World Series or we will be talking about the end of the Dodgers series
Why you
season.
gotta bring it down like that?
But I like where they're at right now. Again, I'm very curious to see if this starting pitching can hold up. I think it would be great if the bullpen does get into these games and they actually start performing, because I don't know. I've said this to my compadre many times. I don't know how much farther you can go hiding or avoiding half of your bullpen. I
Sure.
just don't know if if you can do that.
No, and I mean it's definitely a factor, but hopefully, like I said, hopefully they're working on it. But like, I feel like this team is so much scrappier than everybody gives them credit for. Like for all the upset and everything this season, like they led the division. They've gotten farther than most people even gave them credit for getting to. So like instead of finding ways to count them down, like maybe we just celebrate one game at a time like they're taking it, and just let's find the good things in the game. There's going to be some stuff that pisses you off. It's going to happen, but like find the good things and just keep praying or whatever you believe in, but keep hoping that we just get another game and another game, because the season's almost over. And then we're going to have to go through that long postseason of just like withdrawals and, oh my gosh, when do we get baseball back? So like enjoy every moment of this.
Absolutely. Any last words, Amie?
Let's go Dodgers.
All right. Well, you have fun, my friend. I know you are going to be at the stadium at least the next 2 nights. So have fun being in with all the media and
Yes.
all the good times. I hope that you get to go into the batting cage and be a part of the celebration.
That would be amazing. It would be amazing. Last year was indescribable. So we'll see what happens. I just honestly, I really just I want them to win as much as they can.
Okay, so that's going to do it for this episode. If you've been listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Rate us, write us a review, help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us your comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amie, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.